from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Farmland values stabilize in the southern plains, and agribusiness prepping for another weather-driven trading week.
And so it's hitting the same spots as we see these sporadic thunderstorms fire. A lot of people are getting missed.
Machinery Pete is on an Chalmers Trail, and it's picking time if you're willing to work for it, and you pick in Tennessee.
AgDay, brought to you by the dependable, longest-lasting Chevy Silverado.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. After a nearly 2-year run of falling farmland values in the Southern Plains, it appears the trend may have run its course. In its quarterly land values and credit survey, the Dallas Federal Reserve says bankers in the region expect to see farmland values start to push higher in the coming months. The Dallas Fed says dry land values rose 4.3% from a year ago, irrigated cropland seeing a 5.3% rise year over year, and ranchland pushed higher 3.7% from the same period last year. The Dallas Fed also found demand for agricultural loans overall decreased for a 7th consecutive quarter. Now, loan renewals and extensions continued to increase, but at a slower pace. The rate of loan repayment stabilized after declining for 2 years. After a slide in farmland values across the Great Plains and the Midwest, it appears things are looking up in Texas. Tyne Morgan heads to the Lone Star State to find out why.
Standing on the Browning Ranch just outside of Austin, Texas, Casey Mock sees a rapid change. What was once a rural destination is now on the edge of suburbia.
This is one of the fastest growing areas in the country, and that's put a lot of pressure on us as private landowners, because as ranchers, farmers are trying to hold on to this private property with property values rapidly expanding, which makes it hard to keep leased ground. It also is very tempting to sell property.
In 2016, Forbes named Austin the fastest growing city in the U.S., and number 3 on that list was Dallas. It's the location making these parcels of property prime real estate.
We bought real estate in the last 3 years in this area for as little as $15,000, as much as $30,000 an acre for raw ranch land, unimproved property.
Mock says that price doubled in less than 10 years. It's not just Austin seeing rapid growth. Of America's 100 largest cities, 13 call Texas home. Texas Farm Bureau President Russell Baining farms 35 miles south of San Antonio, which is the country's 7th most populous city.
When you get close to some of those big cities, it's not just the price of the land, it's everything else that comes with it. More and more people, we're standing in front of a highway that, we've been here for a few minutes and 4 vehicles have gone by. Well, if you're closer to San Antonio or Houston, it would have been 40 to 100 vehicles going by.
Urban sprawl is not only making it hard to farm, but ultimately driving some out of business.
There's fewer and fewer full-time producers in my area. I mean, right here from where we're standing, at least 10 producers have gone out of business within 10 miles of here. So, yeah, it's changed. It's changed our area.
You also see affluent, wealthy individuals wanting a recreational piece of property within a commuter distance of Austin. So they can obviously outcompete the farmers and ranchers for price per acre on this ranch, because it doesn't have to pencil out for them on a productive basis.
Mock says they're seeing more land pushed out of production agriculture and turned into recreational use like hunting.
So we see landowners actually making more money in some cases off of the hunting industry or other uses like vineyards, grapes for wine, than they would running cattle.
Despite obstacles, it's the drive to survive that's keeping many Texas farmers and ranchers afloat.
All right, thanks, Tyne. The estate tax, also a major issue for Texas landowners. Both Baining and Mock told Tyne as land values continue on their upward trend, the estate tax is turning into an even bigger burden for multi-generational farms there. In other news, Arkansas's temporary emergency ban on dicamba goes into effect at midnight tonight. The state legislative council did not take action Friday to block the ban, so it now automatically goes into effect. The plant board has received more than 500 complaints about damage to crops allegedly due to dicamba drift. Several key states are seeking to join a legal challenge to a Trump administration decision to keep a widely used pesticide on the market. Led by New York, the coalition filing a motion Wednesday to intervene in a legal fight over the continued spraying of chlorpyrifos on food. Now, the suit is pending before the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit in San Francisco. The states claim that EPA Chief Scott Pruitt violated the law by ending his agency's effort to ban the pesticide sold by Dow Chemical. Let's check on crop comments from across the country with meteorologist Mike Hoffman. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Clinton. It appears the Mid-South may be the garden spot this year when it comes to the corn crop outside the Midwest. Last week's crop progress report shows 89% of the Tennessee corn crop is good to excellent. It's 85% in Kentucky and 80% in North Carolina, and they all get high marks. The updated crop progress report comes out this afternoon. And in Michigan, NASA's harvest of early blueberry varieties began in the southwest corner of the state. Fruit quality was reported as excellent, but fruit size was an issue, with some due to late frost. And taking a look at the estimated rainfall from last week. Well, lots of it east of the Rockies. We'll take a closer look at that coming up and your forecast for the week in a few minutes. But first, here are some hometown temps.
Save time each day and receive the latest market prices directly to your cell phone with market updates. It makes it effortless to stay aware of shifting market prices. Just text Markets 8 to 31313 to get started.
Up next, it's our Monday Market Roundtable. Our guests join me to help set the stage for the trading week ahead. Plus, Machinery Pete is here.
You love Alice Chalmers tractors? Well, if you do, stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss my report.
And summertime is picking time for families looking to get out of the city and onto a farm.
Get the roots your crops need by getting Radiate first. Visit lovelandproducts.com/radiate. See your CPS dealer today.
In agribusiness, let's catch up with markets from Friday as we set the stage for a new week. Details from 4 CME in Chicago.
This hot and dry weather and triple-digit temperatures are really ensuring that volatility is here to stay throughout the summer. In soybeans, had a big surge today, broke through that $10 mark, and we were off to the races after that. Weather worries really abound, and the market has really shrugged off this overbought conditions. There's some serious crop stress out there, certainly leaking outside the northern plains where the original hot and dry weather started. It looks like it might be spreading even further. Corn also was higher. Now, we've been getting some overflow buying from the wheat and from the soybeans, but it certainly today recaptured its 409 high from last month. Certainly these triple-digit temperatures in the northern plains are definitely going to start to affect the cattle and the feeder markets. Right now, we expect that the feeding is going to be less, and some of the weights may be reduced somewhat. That's all from the floor at the CME Group. I'm Virginia McGathy.
Joe Vakovic, Standard Grain, and Andy Schisler with S&W Trading, our guest here. Let's talk about preparing for this week as we kick off on a Monday. Short week last week with trade. What are you watching as we get ready? We'll start with you, Joe.
The market will continue to react to weather forecasts and patterns, and ultimately what type of yields the traders believe they can punch into their balance sheets. Those are the big ticket items this time of year. It's really the only thing that matters. Crop conditions are going to start to mean more as we get further toward pollination and even more so into August. The trade will start to take the USDA yield projections a little bit more seriously in August and September. The July estimates don't have much of a correlation to the final numbers.
Yeah, as you watch weather, Andy, what are you seeing? What's your read of this crop?
From last year to this year, it's totally different. Like, we get a forecast and they call for rain, and you get humidity, but you don't get rain. And so it's hitting the same spots as we see these sporadic thunderstorms fire. A lot of people are getting missed, and I think we've had enough people get missed long enough that I think trend line's not doable at the 170 for me. I just don't think so. And I think so the trade's going to start questioning, are we at a 165? And then if you got another week where they had more heat around, they'd start talking to 160. And if those are real or not, I don't know, but just the perception of it would really put a boost in prices. It might be your big opportunities in the summer, but the weather is just so erratic on the models that it's just hard to look at, I got to tell you.
You think top end's out, where we've lost it?
I think it's kind of interesting because we had the really bad start in the Eastern Corn Belt in Illinois and Indiana and Ohio, and that's reflected in the crop ratings. Indiana and Ohio especially are way below last year. But now the heat and the dryness that they're talking about is in the Western Corn Belt. So now you've got some potential problems on both sides of the river, which is ultimately problematic. So I think there's enough yield risk here for the moment to keep these prices elevated and hopefully into some new highs here the next week or two.
So maybe a chance to do some marketing this year and try to get profitable.
Yeah, and I think we planted in such tough conditions that we put most of the acres in, so we didn't see much prevent plant. In September when they released their numbers, I don't think you're going to see much there. but the acres went in and you didn't get the population out of them. And so I think the bean populations this year are really poor, and that's why I'm friendly beans. I think the bean populations are even worse than corn, because we slammed all that stuff in a couple weeks, and then it didn't rain for a month.
Right.
That doesn't do good. It just doesn't.
Real quick, Joe, on the cattle market this week, anything that you're watching?
I'm hoping that we've come to some sort of bottom here, short term at least. The fundamental stuff has all been bad. The cash market's been down. The box beef market's fallen out of bed. So all that stuff's kind of negative. The spreads have leveled out. So I don't think we're going back to $100 anytime soon, but maybe more of a range-bound type deal is what to expect.
All right, it's going to be another busy week, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. We'll be back with more Ag Day in just a minute.
For more information about Standard Grain and its services, call Joe at 312-462-4438.
For one-on-one marketing advice, call Andy Schisler with S&W Trading at 312-506-3888.
Are you a game changer? Know someone who is? Chevron is searching for those people that have made an impact on the industry. Share your nominee at chevrondello.com/gamechangers. Dello, let's go further.
Welcome back to Ag Day. Your meteorologist Mike Hoffman. Mike, summer weather is always crazy, it seems like.
It is.
And if we look at rainfall over the past week, you can see where kind of those pop-up showers have been living.
Yeah, and they really have. Throughout the Midwest, there's been pop-up showers and storms, some of them heavy, but the heaviest is in the southern plains. In fact, as we zoom in on parts of Oklahoma, northeastern Texas, southern portions of Arkansas, you can see some areas at 8 inches plus of rain from a week ago Saturday to this past Friday. So very heavy amounts of rain in places like that, and of course it was scattered through other parts of the eastern two-thirds of the country. Here's the jet stream as we start this week then. We're starting off with a trough in the Great Lakes in the east. That's keeping things cooler than normal. The ridge that's been pretty much centered out west has shifted a little bit eastward into the far western plains, eastern Rockies, with a little bit of a trough coming in. But here's what happens. The ridge kind of flattens everything out for a while as we head through the middle of the week, and then it goes shifting right back to the west again, and the trough builds into the Great Lakes in the east. So while the Great Lakes, East, Ohio Valley will warm up for 2 or 3 days this week, it does start to cool back down below normal again as we head toward Friday and into next weekend, with that trough kind of continuing and even more energy diving into it as we head into early next week. So that appears to be the pattern we've settled into, with generally a trough in the east and a ridge out west. That keeps it very hot and very dry in most of the west. Here are the temperatures I'm expecting this week from the far western Great Lakes across into the northwest, down into the southwest above normal, except for the far northwestern sections of the country. And then you can see I'm going below normal for the central and northern Appalachians. It'll be kind of back and forth in the Great Lakes, all depending on where that ridge and trough sets up. Precipitation this week, I'm going above normal for the southeast, except for central and south Florida. Also for most of the Great Lakes and some of the surrounding areas above normal. And then below normal, much of Mexico into Texas, all the way up into parts of Nebraska, and then western South Dakota, back to Washington, down to California, below normal as well. As far as the 30-day outlook for temperatures, will continue to go below normal for the central and northern Mississippi Valley into the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, above normal for the far northeast into eastern Canada. And then you can see pretty much most of the western half of the country expected to be above normal with that huge ridge still sitting there. We will go near normal because it's typically hot in most of California and Baja California as well. Precipitation over the next 30 days will go with below normal northern Minnesota, North Dakota, much of southern Canada, into the northwest, near normal for the southwest. That's those hit and miss afternoon variety storms. And then above normal situation continues for eastern Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, all the way through most of the southeast, with those areas continuing to get a little bit wet. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. First of all, for Bakersfield, California, mostly sunny and hot again today, high 106. Some more hot areas as well. Mitchell, South Dakota, partly sunny, hot and humid, high of 92. And Chattanooga, Tennessee, lots of sunshine, hot and humid, high of 91.
All right, up next, Machinery Pete puts a price on some Alice Chalmers. Plus, it's berry picking time.
I'm Charles Denny. We're picking berries at Beatty Farm in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. That story coming up on Ag Day.
Ag Day is powered by Ram Trucks, America's longest lasting pickups. Machinery Pete is brought to you by John Deere. Where can you find the most comprehensive inventory of John Deere certified pre-owned tractors, combines, and sprayers? MachineFinder.com. Sometimes the best new addition to your fleet isn't new.
Machinery Pete sees a lot of variety in his travels to auctions. Today, he talks specifics. Greg?
Okay, all you Alice Chalmers fans out there, this week's report is just for you. A week ago Saturday, on a farm auction in East Central Missouri, this 1984 Alice 8030 with only 2,101 hours on it, second owner, sold on a farm auction for $30,000. Now that's the second highest auction price I've ever seen in the U.S. on an 8030. It's only $250 off the high price. And on that same day, a week ago Saturday, I covered a farm retirement auction right here in southeast Minnesota where this just gorgeous restored 1972 Alice 220 two-wheel drive tractor sold. Ton of interest in this thing. Wound up selling for $40,000, which that is the highest auction price I've ever seen on a two-wheel drive 220. Now this same southeast Minnesota auction, if we stay in the AgCo Gleaner family, had a pair of combines. Had a 2006 Gleaner R65, 1,100 engine hours on it. It's over $88,000 with no head. And that's the highest auction price I've seen on an R65 in 6 years. And the 1982 Gleaner N6 Series 3 with 2,612 hours on it, well, that sold for $12,500 with no head, all-time record high price. Just more proof here, folks. It doesn't matter if it's green, red, blue, or orange. If you take great care of your equipment, it'll hold its value.
Up next, grab a pail and head to the U-Pick patch in the country after the break.
Ag Day, brought to you by Top Third Ag Marketing. Farmer first with a plan for every market. In the Country, sponsored by Kubota. See the hardest working tractors in ag at Kubota.com or visit your local Kubota dealer today.
If you have a taste for fresh fruits and vegetables and you're willing to do a little work, you might enjoy a visit to a pick-your-own farm. This time of year, many of these farms feature strawberries, blueberries, and blackberries. In this report provided by the UT Institute of Ag, Charles Denny takes us to an operation where your hard work yields tasty results.
It's as simple as just showing up. Beatty Farms in Murfreesboro includes this field with big, delicious strawberries. At Beatty, they provide the buckets, you do the picking, and pay by the pound.
You can go out, you pick as many as you like. We have folks literally that come up and get 10 strawberries. It's what they wanted for breakfast the next morning, and they come and buy those 10 strawberries. We have folks that come in and buy 10 gallons at a time to make jam with the families.
Brandon Whitt and his family's operation has been around since 1807, an 8th-generation agribusiness with produce, row crops, and livestock. They also feature blueberries and blackberries, not quite ready for picking when we were there, but close. Beatty will also grow barley and offer a pick-your-own garden this summer with tomatoes and melons.
You have a farm that's thriving and growing and adding new business ventures that really continue the progress of opening the farm gate to the community.
Our state's climate works well for fruit production. Provided we don't have a late season cold snap and we get the right amount of rain, we grow a tasty berry in Tennessee.
The Beatty berries grow near downtown Murfreesboro. And speaking of growth, Rutherford County's population is rising at a near head-spinning rate. Hundreds of thousands of potential customers for this operation.
They want that experience, I think, and that's a lot of what Beatty Farms is able to provide right here for people. They can come to the farm and get a little bit of that experience and then go home.
But as Brandon Whitt likes to point out, these babies do freeze nicely, so pick now and enjoy later. This farm is open to visitors, and if the customers put in a little enjoyable labor, the results are worth the effort. This is Charles Denny reporting.
All right, thanks, Charles. Charles says 2017 has been a challenging year for many Tennessee fruit producers. Some crops bloomed early after an unseasonably warm winter, but then a hard freeze the second week of March hurt production in certain areas. Well, that's all the time we have on this Monday morning. We're sure glad you started your week with us. For Tyne Morgan and Mike Hoffman, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day in farm country.
Ag Day is powered by Ram Trucks, America's longest-lasting pickups.